Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 19th of January to the 25th of January. First for the video that I thought was not good. I'm sorry, man. I hate to do this. Hate to lay this L on you. As I usually don't like, I'm not giddy to give out not goods to people, and sometimes I don't have any to give us. I'm like, great, fine. I like being more positive, but it was about a Joe video. It's this video by Writing Corner. Ashno Joe, True Men Want to Die, and I wrote notes because it's only 5 minutes, and I was like, all right, cool. I love Joe videos, and I've made several myself. It's literally my favorite anime, and I'm up for everything. Usually, I don't give negative. I try not to give negative feedback on video, or I try not to hate on a video because I disagree with it. I try not to do that. I mean, it's hard to do when it's my favorite show, like literally. And I've made several videos on it, and I've read very closely into it. And I'm cool with different readings and things like that, and taking different stuff out of it. That's fine. But I just think the technical problem I have with this video is he really doesn't cite anything from the show or the manga. I mean, it seems that it's just Joe 2. It's like that was the anime that really blew his mind. And he's not, and you can tell because he's not even referencing anything from Joe 1 either. Which there's a couple things, like I took a bunch of notes, because I really wanted to be specific with this, besides I don't agree with you. You know what I mean? But like, I think that was my biggest sticking point and taking away is that like the only time he really seems to quote Joe is paraphrasing his, all it remains is white ash speech, which, his famous, that's the thing. But like he doesn't even like quote it properly. It's a paraphrasing. And I double checked, as I double check everything with this with Joe specifically, because I care about it so much. Even when I'm doing my own videos and stuff, I always feel that instinctual. I have to find what he says here and be very specific. And I did that when I was watching this video over again. Like I watched it through once and I was like, what the fuck? Because he was saying a lot of, I don't know if you call them platitudes, or it felt like pseudoscience, where you're just like reading something that isn't there in the show, and you're kind of putting words in Joe's mouth, and like it's like making stuff up. At least I think so. And it was like if you cited the specific scenes, you don't even have to like use footage from. You don't even have to like show the clip or anything, right? If you just like in the scene where he talks to Dampé about why he wants to fight Jose, where he's in the bar and he's like, I want to fight the champion, and Dampé's like, oh yeah, we can fight you just have to beat the number 3 guy, and then we can beat the OBBF champion. And he's like, no, I'm not talking about. I want to beat Jose Mendoza. I want to fight that guy. And that's a huge deal. And then he breaks the glass. He's like, no, I'm really serious. You don't show that clip at all. Not even in the visuals of what you're talking about. But that's so key to like why he wants to fight Jose. This could have been a really interesting video talking about the precise reasons of why he wants to fight Jose, because it's really nuanced. Because at first it was revenge for Carlos, and then he saw the match and was like, no, I actually want to fight this guy. It doesn't even have to do with the fact that he like beat Carlos or anything like that. And then he meets him and has this whole scuffle with him and disagrees with him a lot in the whole Hawaii arc. But at the end, where he really grows a relationship and admires the guy, and he's like, that was pretty awesome. And it's that scene where he's like, see you again to Jose. And they have a bonding moment because they have this language barrier as well. So they have to deal with that, and there's not as much of a personal relationship. But they connect with this see you again line, and they're both like happy and they're like laughing together. I don't see why you then say when he looks at Jose, all he feels is an emptiness, or sadness. Like, what are you talking about? What scene are you talking about? I don't get it. And I'm not even reading off my notes at this point. It was so frustrating. I could go on for 10 minutes about this or more. I want to read them just in case I'm missing anything. But here, like, so you didn't mention anything from Joe 1. You don't mention Carlos at all, which is so important to his character. And I'm not trying to be like, you're not trying to get this big... I get that you're trying to focus on his relationship with Jose and why he wants to fight the strongest guy, which you confuse as the best guy. He's the best he's perfect, but he's not. You seem to be specifically about Joe 2. Joe 2 has an arc that's original to Joe 2 and not in the manga, where he follows Jose, like, you know, he has to fight this other guy who wants to fight Jose, and then like, the guy that it's this whole thing. It's just like, I want to fight this guy and whatever. But, like, Joe goes to Las Vegas to watch Jose fight, and he struggles a little bit. And then he overturns it and beats the guy. It's not like he's a perfect boxer. He's just really, really good and really strong. I don't think Joe ever says, you're the best. He says he's the strongest man in the world, but that's not the same as being the best boxer, right? Like Floyd, I'm not much of a boxer. Like, you know, I'm not into boxing as like a sport in the real world. But to my knowledge, Floyd Mayweather is considered the best, not because he's the strongest guy, but because he's the smartest fighter. And, you know, it's tactical. He usually wins on points, right? At least that's what I thought it was. I might be just talking out my ass, and I apologize, but, like, you see what I mean? There's a difference between being the strongest guy in the world and the best guy, right? Because I don't know, the way you were talking about Joe and his motivations here, it seemed like it was made up. And there wasn't any textual, like, even if you just reference a scene, right? And, like, you kind of are referencing the scene during Jose's fight where Joe has that vision of Rikishi. You're referencing it, but, like, talk about what they're talking about there. And you're missing the fact that, like, Carlos is in the middle of that. Like, Carlos was the next Rikishi, and Jose was the next Carlos, basically. And he has that personal connection with all of them. So it's like, yeah, okay. I don't usually like to pick apart a video, you know, on Digest based on textual things that you're trying to say. I usually try to focus on the craft, right? But I'm sorry, it's hard for me to to not vent about this. Also, I don't know why you were using such contrasted footage. Like, the footage you were using has this high contrast to it, and it looked really bad in portions where it was at, like, nighttime, like, you know, Joe walking away from Noriko. Like, the footage looks really bad. And maybe that's just my personal preference, right? But if you were doing something interesting with it, right, where, because you were talking about him being not having any regrets, and you're really focusing on this, why does he want to fight Jose, and this Ashes Embers line. Maybe the contrast is supposed to be the intensity that Joe feels, and he's trying to be the best or whatever, and talking about what you're talking about. And then maybe you just increase the contrast over time, or at that moment, and then that looks like a conscious choice. Whereas I don't know, I don't see why you're doing it here. You know, it needs to be sort of a visual signifier. Maybe I'm just a dum-dum. I don't know. But I feel like that sort of communication to what the choices you're making, I think, are important. That was just something I was really bothered by as well. I'm finally stopping to actually read my notes now. Yeah, so in reference to not talking about Joe 1, you mention he was pushed to fight the world, those within it, including himself. So where does that factor in to his initial motivations, which was kind of not really much, actually, but when he settled into that town initially, before he wanted to box, he had this whole plan, these grand ambitions of, like, rebuilding the town, building hospitals and playgrounds and things for the kids and stuff, and, like, he had these very lofty goals, but he went about it so ruthlessly and aggressively, he ended up in prison. You know, it seemed very selfishly. It just didn't seem like he had any consideration for Joe 1. And I'm pretty sure, like, Joe 2 flashes back to that scene, too. Maybe not to the scene of him being in the abandoned, like they go back to the abandoned building in Joe 2, which is anime original, by the way. And they kind of are wandering around. It's like, yeah, I remember when like I wanted to build hospitals before all this, and I don't know. It just didn't seem like a very clear understanding of the series where I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And so I'm on board with what you have to say. I'm cool with you, this argument you're having, but it doesn't line up with the text. At least I don't think so. And I'm not proven otherwise because the way that you went about writing this didn't have any evidence. It didn't have any evidence. That's kind of what it felt like. You have this line, "To fight is to truly live, for to live any other way is to simply live a lie." What does that mean? Are you trying to say that everyone else in Joe's life that isn't like him, Yoko, Dampé, Noriko, and Nishi, all these people are living a lie? The people that got him to where he is now, to where he could fight the world champion and achieve his dream, and actually feel like he matters and like he has a home. Like he references this conversation with Noriko is like, you guys really matter to me, like you and all the kids and stuff. Like I care about that. And it's like, I'm not going to, he actually gives a shit. And that was way different from his character initially, which is what you're referring to. He might have that feeling to it, but there's much more to it now. Because these people had a positive impact on his life. Yeah, they might misunderstand him at points, like any human being does in relationship with people. Sometimes you have disagreements, but you just like toss them all under the bus for no reason. When you make this line, it's like they're all living a lie. It's like, what do you mean? and again, yeah, like he would never have gotten that far without any of them. And he thanks them at the end. Like, you forget, like oh, he put the gloves out. And, like, I read a comment. I'm sorry to go after comments as well. But they're like, yeah, he puts the gloves out and he, puts them out the ring and it means he hadn't lost. Like, where is that? Where do you figure that? Is that in your head? Or, that's okay if it's in your head, but just say, I like to think this. I like to see it this way. Right? But be a little more transparent about that. I don't know. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, he doesn't even think Rikishi's the strongest man. Like, he wanted to fight him as the world champion. I don't think that necessarily is like, he's the strongest. I don't see that. If you could point to a quote, it's like, I think Rikishi is the strongest guy I ever fought. I don't think he ever says that. Or implies. I don't think anyone implies that. Like, he implies he's a great boxer. That's it. It also, just boiling it down to like, I thought he was the strongest guy alive, really is kind of reductionist to his relationship with Rikishi, because it's not just that like he wanted to kick his ass or anything. Like by the end, he actually really was trying to form a relationship with him and like be friends. And maybe I'm trying to read it a little more corny. But also, all of that kind of reading you find in Joe 1, not Joe 2. You kind of think of it as Joe 2 definitely has that reading a lot more strongly, but it's way more than that. Like he misses, I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil things. Yeah, and there was points where like it seemed like he was just kind of writing about him, like he sees himself in Joe, and so he's starting to kind of write about himself. And it's just like, give a big middle finger to the world, say fuck you, pray to he says this one quote, it's like, you pray to a god you don't even believe in. Are you referring to Joe? Because it seemed like it was, but then there's no mention of God. I mean, yeah, Joe probably doesn't believe in God, but like that's never a theme in the show. Like, that's a reading of it, but I don't know what that has to do with anything. That was just like really weird and off-putting. It maybe be like, yeah. But if you have a personal reading of it, that's fine. It's just, I would rather it be more transparently that. And yeah, the whole thing at the end, it's kind of like, does Joe want to die? And the writing quarter is just like, yeah, he does. He wants the strongest man to kill him, or I guess. No, like, I don't know. That's certainly something to be argued. I think that's something to be interesting, but you really have to show evidence. You have to show what they're saying, the text. What does the text say? you know, or even what he shows here is like this shot here is interesting, and there's some interesting lines. Like I again, because I felt like I was taking crazy pills. I had to go back and watch the show. I have it all saved and stuff, and I rewatch it all the time. And so I look back and I saw this one quote that like Yoko was having Joe's conversation with Yoko right before he goes out to fight Jose. Their dialogue is actually really interesting. This like back and forth, they're kind of talking past each other, and I was picking up details that I didn't even consider, or it was just like, oh, that'd be really interesting to bring up, or why does he say that at that moment? I'm trying not to say what exactly he says because it's spoilers, but I think that's really interesting, and that stuff you could have definitely said, but I was just really disappointed with this, and again, it is hard for me to separate my biases as someone who's worked on this not worked on this show in that way, but like made videos about this show and has rewatched it a lot, and I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, it wasn't good. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the videos that I thought were decent, pretty good, and this first one is from Evynne. Evynne. She talked about Illumi Zoldik's cycle of manipulation. The Nen Behind Them episode 10. I actually didn't realize this was episode 10. Huh. I guess this is part of a Hunter x Hunter series, actually. I just haven't clicked on a lot of them because, I'm not much of a Hunter x Hunter these days. I don't know, because I have a lot of, like, mixed feelings about it. But I have been rewatching, not been rewatching, I've been watching Hunter x Hunter 99 for the first time. And in so doing that, I inevitably like to look at 11 as well to see how they adapted it kind of similarly, and it's been very interesting so far. But I was in the right mindset because I had recently seen Illumi's interaction with Killua during the Hunter exam. So I was like, yeah, cool, and I like the concept here a lot. I like the mood that Evynne sets here, like the cadence in her voice as well as the music, which I want to safely assume that it was her composing it. I think there was something kind of in one of the previous videos she had that I was like, is that music that you did? But I'm not sure. There wasn't much referenced in the description or anything to say as much. But I loved the mood here. It was very claustrophobic and kind of a little creepy on the side, but more like a wholesome creepy. Not I don't know what a wholesome creepy is supposed to mean, but I don't know. I felt better about it. It felt really intimate and kind of interesting. And yeah, the reading is cool. I also liked that she talked mainly about like the assortment of powers that he demonstrates, and the things and how each of those reflect his personality. I thought that was really cool. Kind of similar to what Hisoka talks about, where depending on the Nen type user you are, there's a certain personality trait. I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember if Illumi ever got a category, or if it's left up to speculation of like, oh, he's probably a manipulator, or depending on, he's probably a manipulator given he's the same family as Killua, and I believe Killua is a manipulator. Am I right on that? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. And given also his power type, it seems like manipulator type powers. But like that sort of reminded me of where Hisoka was like, yeah, we're habitual liars, or or charismatic liars. I don't remember what it was. But stuff like that was kind of interesting, and it leaning into that a little more was really cool. Yeah, so I liked that video. It was nice. I think this is the first time I'm finally talking about a Chris Stuckmann video, or I might not have. I don't remember. But he's been, he's talked about anime a good deal a couple of times. I do think he can take some credit for helping the more surge of popularity of Angel's Egg. He had this kind of like big analysis video about it. But that was a number of contributing factors. Demolition D definitely helped with that. BobSamurai had also made a video around that time. But like a lot of them having high profile and really getting Angel's Egg out there to make it more accessible and more have more notoriety, I guess. So I always appreciate Chris for that. And he's always he's had like he showed off his his DVD collection. He owns a bunch of anime and knows a lot. At least on like a I've seen this type of basis, not like suck, not like the like the animation type of database type of thing. But that's okay. But yeah, I always respect his stuff. I know some people kind of meme on him sometimes, but I always watch his content. So I was very happy to see him cover Akira because of the 4K release. And it's only indecent because unfortunately I think he alludes to a depth in this movie that's misunderstood, and I wish he actually went into that, but he didn't want to because of spoilers, because he definitely thinks that a lot of his audience hasn't seen it yet, but at the same time it's like, well, you made that Angel's Egg video. Nobody saw that movie, right? Even less so than Akira. So I wish he did. He actually went into that depth of like, okay, what is interesting, or misunderstood about Akira to you, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. But I enjoyed his review of it. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of a review of what you expect, but yeah, I like his stuff. Whatever. I was just happy to see that from him. Words Maybe had a video on Ping Pong the Animation, the best sports anime, and I did like that he kind of lampshades himself towards the last third or so, where he talks about, like, I haven't even talked about the animation or the various interesting things about ping pong, but he really focuses on the idea with sports, and he also focuses on like this one minor character that has like 4 minutes of screen time. And how much he kind of sees himself in that character. And he talks about his relationship with baseball and how you like the sport a lot, but you're not good enough to, you're not in a position to strive for that absolute best type of thing, which is always very encouraged and everything. And I liked that storytelling and the way he presented it too, with a lot of live action footage and kind of the filter he had on that. That was really nice. I was really pleasantly surprised by that, because it's not often you have people be introspective in that way. I certainly hadn't been introspective for a while starting YouTube. I think it's kind of a barrier. A lot of us want to put up a wall, be like, I don't want people to know about me. I just want to talk about the thing that I want to talk about, not so much myself. But I think that's always very interesting and a unique thing that only that person can bring. Their experience is something that only they can really contribute. So I think that's awesome. And again, it's only indecent because it's like, yeah, he only kind of talked about the kind of that particular slanted aspect to it. But I think that's much better than just a generalized review of the thing, and it feels like you didn't have much to say about it, or plot regurgitation or something like that. I like the injection of personal experience and what he takes away from it. And he also kind of relates it to YouTube as well towards the end, where he's like, I might not be the best at this, but like I'm on my own journey for it, and I enjoy making these. I'm like, that's awesome. I like seeing that sort of awareness of sorts. Yeah, I really enjoyed that video. I checked out BobSamurai's Guilty Pleasure Theater. I actually had seen his one on Cool Cool Buy, but I didn't have much to say about it. I don't know. But I actually was really liking this one on Advancer Tina, which is a hentai. He's not afraid to put that in the title. And I think that's cool. And he doesn't show it that much explicit stuff. It is slightly plot regurgitation, but I think what really sets this video for me, what I liked from it, especially compared to his other stuff, is that he has this kind of a deadpan delivery and very dry sense of humor, which I knew he always had, but he always was very performative with a lot of his older videos and a lot of his reviews, it felt like. And I always liked that performative type of voice from him, but then there was always that kind of observation type humor of his experiences and the media that he's seen and enjoys and things, and very blunt sense of humor. There's this one cutaway joke too, and I think it was him filming it, of like describing the sex scene was like grinding coffee beans with with like the I don't know, the stick, I guess, the hammer, and then grinding the like, and that was so like really visceral and he delivers it in such a deadpan, dry sort of way. And I really liked it. And he includes a lot of clips from this that are just funny with the English dub and things like that, and very confident sort of choices. I thought it was a really good time. I thought it was really funny. I enjoyed it. Yeah. And one other thing was that, like, I did like that it wasn't just shitting on it. It was just like, oh, bad. Because obviously he's putting guilty pleasure theater. It's under the guise of like, oh, make fun of this hentai, right? But I did like some of the comments he made where it's like, the spaceships are not that bad. It's like, it's actually kind of okay in places here and there and stuff. Stuff like that was really fun. Also, there was this really creative moment where this one character had this backstory of being locked away had a prison sentence of 2,000 years. And it's never explained why they have that sentence of 2,000 years. And then he kind of is like, here's my speculative fiction. And then he goes on this tangent, and it's very detailed and like over the top and really funny. And it's just stuck on this one shot of her, and it's slowly zooming in as he's still talking. It reminded me of Rebel Taxi. He's done that a couple of times, but there's like really funny comedic effect, and they just kind of pop out of nowhere. But I thought that was really funny and creative out of from Bob. Yeah, I felt really good about this video. It especially given it's like, I'm not usually one who likes that kind of content that just kind of shits on this nothing of an OVA, or the hentai, make fun of the hentai type of video. But I thought this was especially creative and funny, and not trying to. I think this could be very much more lazy or unfunny in a way, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Okay, now what I thought were the best videos of the week, and I just had to start off with this Gigguk video. I met the creator of Domestic Girlfriend, and maybe it's because I'm a sucker for videos that are interviewing Japanese staff. That maybe has something to do with it, but I think specifically was the fact that this was his first interview, and a first time making a video like this. And he does say that in the video and stuff. He doesn't comment too much on how nervous he is, which he obviously is. But like that, it reminded me of that David Bowie quote, and I probably have quoted it in Digest before and on personal conversations and stuff, so I apologize for being redundant as usual. But it reminds me of what David Bowie had said, like, creative people shouldn't stay in their comfort zone and just do kind of the same thing that the audience expects them to do. When they challenge themselves and they're just in the deep end, just enough so their toes are barely touching the bottom, just like not completely out of their depth, but just barely, that's when they can make really cool, exciting stuff. And I'm really happy that Gigguk is doing that here. He's challenging himself, and especially, it's especially challenging because he really kind of made this theatrical, he really went so far as to talking about Domestic Girlfriend in such an outrageous, spicy kind of way. Thankfully, he never really went out and said things were bad about it, but it was just kind of, livening it up and being very over the top with his reactions to the series. And I think the insights the mangaka had here were really interesting. How she was very inspired by 80s J-dramas where things would be moving really, really quickly in order to hook an audience, as well as like fast-moving stuff like Kill la Kill. That was really cool and interesting to hear that insight. And Game of Thrones was another thing. I thought that was really cool, and I liked the questions that Gigguk was posing, and some of them seemed very, in part, kind of like really, really trying to get to the bottom. It didn't feel surface level. One of the questions I really liked was, I don't know. I'm sorry. I painted myself into a corner here because I actually didn't have one prepared. Fucking shames. Come on. Things like, what did you learn from your previous work that applied to Domestic Girlfriend? That was nice. I'm going to pause again. Things about, like, things you might regret about having things this decisions you made. But I also like that it was like, you know, kind of fun kind of questions that were reflective of Gigguk's interest, such as, you know, who's your favorite girl, like deciding between the two, and she couldn't come up. She's like, I can't pick between the two. They're both my daughters, which was really funny and cute. But yeah, I thought that was really great. I think overall, I'm really happy he did that, and I, you know, I don't know where that goes from there, because it seems like a kind of a closing chapter for him, character development of sorts. But I hope that you know, he takes that experience as like, wow, that was really challenging, and I've got a lot of value out of that. So hopefully, so it's like, okay, what else can I challenge myself with? What else can I try to do? And really try, you know, I really am excited to see that. I'm excited to, you know, I hope he gets a taste of the challenge bug, I suppose. I watched Pause and Select's video on Tony Kawa in Inversion of Pure Love. I do think at this point, if you're one of my favorite anime YouTubers, like Pause and Select is, I will probably be covering every one of their videos. Some, maybe not a guarantee. Not a guarantee. I can't say that. I'm sorry. But it's close. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. No, but this is a smaller video from him, and it was unexpected, actually. Talking about a seasonal, I believe it was a seasonal, like a very recent one. Tony Kawa, an Invasion of Pure Love. He specifically covering this subject of Junai, which I had never heard of for some reason. But like the idea of like pure love and untainted and stuff, and how it can be tainted by domesticity. And that's so funny, right? Because so many of us want that domesticity. They want to see that, you know, like so many anime fans are like, oh, I hate this will they, won't they with the love. And then they finally get together at the end, and then we never get to see them live with each other. And, but then Pause is like, no, because at least artists, it seems, they'd be finding that boring. They'd be like, no, that there's nothing left to say about that. We don't want to watch that. But Tony Kawa kind of subverts that, and they fall in love through the domesticity, through the challenges that they face that are very mundane in that way. And it's refreshing in that way. And that's also kind of like, I think that was like something that Gigguk was alluding to with his domestic girlfriend interview, of how that relationship's very refreshing, because it's not just a that whole drama and stuff takes place kind of separate from school, or separate from the building up to the love or something. It does domestic girlfriend, right? I haven't read Domestic Girl. I'm sorry. Joe is just really funny in this too. I loved that Tony Kawaii. He cuts like he has like him cut in as an editor, and he's like, I'm so sorry I did this. And then like in the footage he's like, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. Like the humor is fantastic, and for how bite-sized it is, I really like that he started to integrate the two kinds of styles that he has here with, you know, the paper that he has all over the desk and stuff, and he's cutting away to stuff and highlighting things, but also integrating his previous style, which was a lot of manga puppet tool animation and fancy stuff like that, and kind of integrating together so it looks like they're on the paper and stuff. That was so dope, dude. Oh my god. It's just like the single coolest like video style any of us have in this platform. It's not even close. and he's just doing this in kind of he said it that this type of video, I forgot the name of it. It was like, but it seemed like it was like a smaller video of a particular subject that he finds interesting. But it's not like the epic big, like his 3-party Isekai series, or his thing about Moe or Lolicon type of thing, where they're multi-part and they're very epic and big, or Japan Sinks, right? But this is just like it feels like one of his older videos, right? Like his Full Moon video, or his DJ Agataro video, where it's very singular on the one show, and it's relatively shorter in comparison. Like 958 doesn't seem like a lot. It seems it might be considered a longer video for some other creators, but then like you see that in the view of Boz's Lex channel, And it's like, oh, this is a baby. Oh, it's a tiny little bit. It's a little one. It's a baby bit. But it's really cool. It's really cool looking, and I love the points, even though it's very simple. And man, that whole crew is really making me want to watch Densho Otoko, huh? I really want to need to see that then, huh? It's making me really want to see it. Oh well, now that it's a bad thing, I guess. But yeah, I like that video a fuck ton, of course, and showing demonstrating technical mastery that none of us are even close at right now. Like the inventiveness of like putting the title in the windows of that one live action shot. I don't even remember what movie that was, but it was just like, ooh! it's yeah, of course, I fucking love that video. Yeah, whatever. CDawgVA coming through with another banger. This was just so much fun. I don't care. It's so fucking fun. I send so much infectious joy from it. The all the laughing at with or at the various participants of I held the worst Discord talent show. I realized I haven't. Yeah, I'm whatever. I'm about the titles. I haven't been really reading them out, but that's okay. He's done this before, but I like that they used a whole studio, and I also liked that they had this system where they had the person come in with the talent, and then after they were done, they sent them to Evynne, and Evynne is kind of like the Nick Cannon or like the host, right? Where the talent comes off after being talked to by the judges, and then the host is like, "How'd that go?" And they're like, "I think it went really well," or this thing. I thought that had an extra layer of comedy and originality that was it made it feel more legit. It's not trying to be legit or anything, right? It's just a Discord talent show, whatever. But like that was a really great choice. And Evynne did a good job with that too. Evynne also did a very good job with the editing of this, choosing the right kind of characters that are, very recognizable, he's choosing Subaru from ReZero or Levi and very boilerplate kind of picks, but they were very smartly paired with the type of character that they were being represented by. I thought it was very great choices. And the editing on top of it with, providing a lot of visuals to some of these, to these audio only talent stuff was really great and really smartly made. And again, I think all their reactions were really funny and things like that. And I hope that the talent had a good time. The Jackass Boy moment was really funny. He's like, I don't know. Cause, Jackass Boy made that talent show video of him being on their talent show a while ago. And so I guess this was kind of a while ago, all things considered. So it shows how editing intensive this was. I think I saw Evynne tweet about that too. Is like, this took so much work. And it really shows. It really pays off, I think. I really enjoyed this. I had a very, very fun time. I was like, I love having fun. It's like, you're making these videos. I'm watching these videos for the purpose of talking about them on Digest. But there was one of those things where I could just forget about that. And I also have a lot of busy stuff going on in my life right now. Like I'm looking at the clock right now just to be like, do I have time? I'm floored. I'm freaking so much shit going on right now with me, and I won't try to get into it. But this was escapist for me. This was very like, I can just have fun, kick back. It felt like I was with the boys, right? And he was really welcoming and nice and fun. It was excellent. I'm very glowing praise about it. It's excellent. DMFND, or the comments was letting me know his name is Aaron, so thanks for that. I'm going to be calling him Aaron from now on. Because the acronym is cool, but it's hard to say over and over, okay? Aaron did an amazing job on this Champloo video, which I'll be honest, I'm not as much of a Champloo fan as I do like Bebop more, but I'm not trying to be comparative or anything. This is so cool, dude. This is like a mixtape mixtape video essay. I have to look again. I don't think Nino's ever done this before. I don't think Digi's ever done this before. Why not? This seems like something they would do, but like it's so creative and there's a real distinct energy to this, and the visuals are great too with the VHS aesthetic. I don't know how you recreated that. It seemed like you were recording it off of another screen, and it seems so authentic. The particular editing style here, and the music choices, of course. My freaking roommate was saying, is like, oh, you listening to Kino? And I'm like, I'm watching a video that's using Kino. So it was totally true, and it's so sick. I don't have too much to say about like in terms of like what he's saying about Champloo here, but I was just absolutely floored by the presentation here. It's so inventive, and this is what I mean, where it's like videos can just kind of do whatever they want. Don't feel like you need to like make a script, and that's something I'm trying to fight with myself, because I'm working on this video that is so annoying, and I don't feel satisfied doing it the normal way. So it's like I'm seeing this. So I see this video. I'm not going to do exactly what this video does, obviously, but seeing that the freedom that this video is demonstrated is like, I can do this. I can just make a fucking beat mixtape out of this and rap over the OP instrumentals. Like he does a rap instead over the whole thing, and there's 3 different sections. I also liked, and this is similar to his last video on Angel's Egg, I really liked that he is incorporating the kind of culture from YouTube in general. Incorporating Glass Arcada's review of Champloo, as well as this thing with Bonsai Pop, like them talking about it, and they kind of sample one thing they say, or like how to live your life or something like that. And it's a good mood, dude. It's so nice. Yeah, and so he's rapping over the beats and stuff, and basically communicating this video essay to you as a rap song. I sound so white when I say as a rap song. It's just whatever, man. I can't can't help it. I loved the shit out of this. I think this is so inventive and creative, and I loved it. So yeah, great job, Aaron. Very, very good vid. But if your boy's dropping a video, I'm becoming such a fan of CynicClinic. Of course, at the minute I was like seeing the title of this video, people don't know how to talk about animation. Yes, and it's 17 minutes. Yes. Yeah, and he's also doing something so, like, he has shown himself on video before, but I think this was the first time where the bulk of the video was him communicating through camera, and I hope that was a good experience. I thought it really helped the points that he was making, because it felt very personable, and also, like, I loved it felt like it was so funny. I swear the video I'm about to put out with Lupon is trying. I just happen to do kind of similar things where trying to make it as off the cuff as possible, right? It was like, oh, choose an anime, any anime, I don't know, Kino's Journey. That's the first one that came off my head, which is very transparent. I was like, no, obviously I plan to use Kino's Journey in terms of the artifice of the video, right? But moments like that are very transparent. Also, like calling attention to how much is like, I like that that line that I just said, or certain observations you made. I swear I have like a similar thing in my video after having rewritten it a bunch of times and trying to just break some eggs. Seeing that being applied here, probably with more polish, because I'm gonna be this is gonna be kind of rough. I don't know how it's gonna turn out. It hasn't really been made yet. It's been recorded. That's the thing. Sorry to be so much about my video. Jeez. But I think it was working a lot. Also, like the kind of like, I should have something here. And throws "You're Under Arrest" behind him. I thought that was a very tasteful kind of. It doesn't even call attention to it after that. It's like, this is "You're Under Arrest," by the way, and this is what I consider really quote unquote good animation. And I think what like really puts this as the best one, and one of the best I've seen so far this year, is really just the content on display here. That kind of dismantling this idea of good animation and defining what animation really is. And I like that he starts the video by kind of pointing out these really bad animation takes, but he doesn't really go after them after that. He calls attention to them. He's like, this is kind of a problem, and it's like, this is how I would want it to be talked about, instead of like that. And he's not picking apart their arguments or he doesn't dwell on them very much. He just kind of uses them as the catalyst of like the thing to. This is okay, guys, stop. This is what we need. This is how I would like it to be done. And yeah, the observations of the Western biases, and citing the different texts that Western animation schools use versus Japanese animation schools was really interesting. A lot of great points, a lot of great quotes too. The very last quote was like, "Wow, that is just the whole thing, huh?" About full animation. I really liked the Letterman interview with Mel Blanc, I believe. Yeah, and I loved the little captions you had in that interview where he's like, "Wrong, also wrong," and it's like, Workman Letterman he gets it, and I agree. I actually happen to be binging a lot of. This was actually I haven't these days. Actually, I don't know. It was a phase I went through where I was watching a lot of montages of Letterman clips, as well as other general talk show stuff, like a compilation of every time Siskel and Ebert went on the Letterman show. That was always so interesting, and I really enjoyed those. And yeah, Letterman's a great interviewer, but like his talking about like Letterman's interjection point that was actually true was him saying like, yeah, I imagine TV animation, they have to produce it a lot quicker than other animation that you might be praising a lot more, like full animation.
Stupid. I need to hold on. The reason I bring up why I was watching so much David Letterman and stuff is because I realized how he was creating a daily show, if you will. It's with Jon Stewart. No, he was creating a new show every day. So the idea that I think it makes sense that he gets it from the perspective of TV animation having to be very limited. Like his points that he's bringing up of like, oh, it's because they have to put a show out every week. That's probably reflective of his own experience of having to put on a late night show every day of the week, 5 days a week kind of deal. So it makes sense that he would be sympathizing with the Hanna-Barbera stuff that I'm about to get into, because I completely just forgot that train of thought. But I need to put this in the middle right here. It wouldn't flow otherwise. But yeah, I think that was why. And I thought that was really interesting that he would bring that up, is like, oh, I bet that's why, because I feel that. I thought that was interesting. Not that CineClinic brought that up in his video, but I don't know. That was just something I wanted to add.
Because Mel Blanc was, I guess, shitting on Hanna-Barbera. That's what I suspect it was, because the cycling, the looping background and the lip flap moving, and that's it, sounded like something that he's criticizing Hanna-Barbera for in comparison to Looney Tunes, for example. And I really like the the John K clip that CineClinic uses compared to like the 40s animators, and it's just this like weird jank type of thing. And it's like, no, I think there needs to be more nuance here. There needs to be more of a case by case basis of talking about animation and taking a shit. Like the Lord of the Rings clip of he looks like he needs to take a shit with and then keep contrasting that with Fantastic Planet. I thought that was a really great observation, where it's like, yeah, they look very awkward and disjointed, but that's very deliberate because they're meant to look alien, and it's creating an atmosphere and a vibe that it's very surreal that wouldn't work in live action. There's just so many little nuggets, and the more I'm picking up, but you know what was so interesting was that this video felt so kind of effortless. It didn't feel like I was watching something earth-shattering, right? It didn't seem so like very grand, epic. I put a lot of work into this. You could kind of some of these videos, you can really feel that very tangible effect to it. But this one, it just felt so clear-minded, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I don't know. It was just something that like it didn't feel packed with information. But the more I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, that moment. And of course, you know, I think CineClinic literally does this the best, and I wish I could replicate it for my own videos, but I can't. It's just not how I don't think of these jokes. Every time he distorts his voice and the video stuff, it slaps every single time. They're fantastic, and I don't know any other YouTuber that does it as well. And I'm talking about anime YouTube, like just like budget, and then like using the Katsudo Shashin in the background. and like dog, it's like shit like that is so fucking funny and creative, and not trying to recycle the same joke over it. Like it's effectively the same joke, but it's a different vibe every time, and it's amazing. He's doing so well. I think he's excellent at this. Very rapidly becoming one of my favorites. Like I have like like I have like KYDB, Pause, and Gil in my favorites, right? But but like so it's just up there as if not more so at this point, because he's actually putting out videos. Sorry, KYDB, come on. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. He takes his time, and then when he doesn't miss. So it's like, yeah, I can't knock that. But the frequency is also nice for CineClinic. But no, yeah, he's really killing it with this, and I can't praise it enough. I've already gushed about his other videos every time he puts one out. God, that's so sick, dude. Great job. And I actually remembered. I DM'd you this. The one quote, the one thing you say, pointless prescriptivism. Holy shit. I just love that. I love that word, and I can understand what you mean too. It's not just kind of like big word for the sake of it. It feels like you get it, and but it's just the alliteration, my guy. It's like that. I haven't been making a big deal out of this because I don't know how to properly communicate this or visualize this, which is why I have to lampshade me saying this before without just going for it. But you get like this like feeling to it, which like is very sexual, of course, but like it's not meant to be sexual. It's more like it's more passionate than sexual, but it is kind of sexual. Whatever. But I've just been getting those feelings lately. I've like been watching Naruto a little bit too. When like this fight really goes hard, it's like, oh, I don't know where that was going. Anyway, great video. I should probably stop recording because I'm way too busy to just dawdle on, but I'm having too much fun, okay? It's nice to have fun with Digest, right? Thank you for watching this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you to my patrons who make it possible. It would make it really worth it. Make it really worth it. What am I talking about? Including Austin, Beamburst, Boo, Hazel, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Saxon, Unique Namosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. All those guys could be recommending videos, but you could if you want, but, that's okay. I'm all right, fine. Anyway, you guys have a great week. Yo, peace.